This just in, Starbucks announces a new drink. It's called Pumpkin Spice Pelosi. Has a bitter aftertaste. You have to have exactly 244 in change. Don't come back if you don't have the exact change. And when you order it, they write on the cup, it's being delivered to whatever your name is. Hey, good morning, everybody. It's morning's LALATE. Happy morning, happy Sunday. Hope you're good and safe. The sun is rising. Open the door. Enjoy the fresh air, especially if you're in the Temple of Doom. And the toast is toasting, the coffee's percolating, the butter is buttering, and for my viewers who are homeless, your thoughts and wishes are in my hearts. Let's get right to the exciting and great news this morning about stimulus. I have really incredible data, which no one has ever really gone through until today in the month of August. And this data really sort of throws everything that we've heard about stimulus on its head. And it's very important and very great news because it shows that the second stimulus check is going to get done and the second stimulus package is going to get done if something comes to fruition. And that fruition is really divesting Nancy Pelosi of the core operating strength of negotiations. One thing that I clearly made a mistake in the last couple of days is I said on one of the recordings that in the spring, Nancy Pelosi and Steve Mnuchin singularly, the two of them, got your first stimulus package approved. Oh no, no, not at all. Now this is really great news for your second stimulus check because I'm going to go through the details of what happened back in March before this channel existed. When Mitch McConnell actually had a personality. When Mark Meadows was moving, and when Money Mnuchin actually had some more money. So let's get right to the shocking details. First, at that time, the number being floated was $2 trillion. Does that sound familiar? Yes, the president said he would support $2 trillion. And he said that he wanted to keep companies going together, workers being paid and people sustained. And I'm going to go through 2 or 3 major articles at the time. The first one says that at the time, Chuck Schumer, Broadway Chuck, went over the details of a possible plan with Mnuchin for more than an hour in the middle of the night on a Saturday. Is Chuck Schumer working like that now? No. Are they talking like that? No. Are they even talking? No. He said it was very optimistic and said he would be working into the middle of the night and over Sunday morning with Steve Mnuchin. We're not yet there. We're working all night, and we're making very, very good progress, he told CNN, Chuck Schumer at the time. So that shows you the work ethic of those people at the time. This is just March. They're working in the middle of the night. The continuation of the dynamic is delineated further. The package is coming around at about 10% of GDP. It's very large, said Larry Kudlow. Also another twist, Larry Kudlow was involved in negotiations then as well. How many people were involved with the negotiations? Let me just give you a spoiler about what's going to happen in this video. Nancy's almost nowhere. She's almost nowhere. Yes, and in fact, there's a lot of people involved in negotiations. I could not keep track of how many people were involved in negotiations the first time around. Now, what's very important is that these articles singularly keep on talking about one group of people. Senate Democrats. You notice we never hear about Senate Democrats. We only hear about House Democrats. Nancy Pelosi keeps on wanting to talk about the syncness of her party to getting second stimulus checks. How about the Senate Democrats? Untrue. Do you think Bernie Sanders is going to sit around and not give you stimulus? Do you think Senator Harris, who's now VP nominee, or AOC are going to sit around and not give you stimulus? No. Nancy has nothing to do with the Senate Democrats. They're not in her house. So Mnuchin and Senate Democrats were negotiating on the bill at the time. They included also McConnell, Pelosi, Schumer, House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy were all in the meetings, and they were discussing things in the middle of the night. There was additionally a comparison of the package to a previous bailout, and that was the economic downturn of the Great Recession. The $1.4 trillion three-stage package was supposed to be dramatically higher than that originally proposed. Here are all the quotes. I mean, Senate Democrat Bob Menendez of New Jersey. Where is he this time around? We don't hear about him. This is going to be the largest that relief package in history. Yes, speed is necessary, but getting it done is also actually has the effect that we want it equally as important. Have you heard a single Senate Democrat talk about this since what? May? No. Have you seen a Senate Democrat talk about speed of getting the stimulus package? No. Have you heard of anyone talking about speed of getting the package out, whether it's Republican or Democrat? No. The Republicans made a preliminary agreement with the Democrats to provide funding to increase weekly unemployment benefits by about $600 across the board, according to multiple people. So they were doing things piecemeal. Yes, they were doing parts at a time. And what the articles go through is delineate is that the Senate subcommittees and House subcommittees were doing little provisions that were important one at a time. And one of them was the $600 a week FPUC, where it didn't have a name at that time. They were also talking about the checks. Mnuchin had proposed $1,100, excuse me, $1,000 checks for individuals, which was more than McConnell had proposed. They were also talking about thresholds. Then there's Richard Shelby, Republican chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee and former chair of the Senate Banking Committee. Hello, where are you now? I don't think we should be bailing out of governments right now. We should be trying to mitigate this economic failure. Appropriations were still being worked on spending measures. Marco Rubio said they could spend up to $350 billion or $300 million of the GDP for loans. So Rubio was working on the loan part of the program, which became EIDL and PPP. Okay, Rubio, what are you doing now? Now you got to understand, Rubio's not in the House; he's in the Senate. So what has Rubio done now? The shocking and really great news of this is that a lot of people were involved in negotiations. When we look back to May, which was not a long time ago, Pelosi was not the single vortex, the Temple of Doom, the tsunami of the Bermuda Triangle that she wishes to be now. She was not embodied with this incredible authority as she claims she has been given as divine despot of the Temple of Doom to just say no and yes to everything. There was 20, 30, 40 people in this article who were negotiating for your stimulus at the time. And if you look for Pelosi's name in the article, it was so hidden you would almost miss it. I mean, it was like a skinny bill. If you blink it, you wouldn't see it. It just wasn't there. So where did the House suddenly ordain Pelosi as divine queen of Neverland? Well, actually, that's a bad analogy because Neverland gives you some happiness. It's divine queen of Nada Land. It's not very inherently clear. $1,200 it would be coming in your bank account if she wasn't involved already. $1,200 hasn't been agreed upon by the parties. A $1,200 second stimulus check if you're a single individual, if you're an adult individual, if you're a minor dependent, adult independent. This was agreed to. This was agreed to now as we come into a Sunday morning and the sun is rising and the coffee's brewing. This was agreed to almost 4 weeks ago. $1,200 checks. If you're a married couple, $2,400 checks. Family, well, it's a family of five, $6,000, bam, right in your account. This is really great news. I mean, this is the type of news that America needs to wake up to. If you have child support, it would not be taken out for child support under the Democrat plan, but that would not prevent you from getting it from a local jurisdiction. And if and for minor dependents, it would likely be $1,200, not what the Republicans are proposing, $500. But people were negotiating. I mean, people were negotiating, talking, working in the middle of the night. There was 20 people negotiating in this article. There was not one single cabinet member of the Trump administration. There was not one single member of the House. There was not one single Democrat or one single Republican. There was a lot of people working on it. There was a sense of urgency to get things done quickly. There was a lot of committees that were overviewing economic numbers. And this is what's also really good news and really important as we sit here on a Sunday morning, that people were looking at the impact of every number. When we talk about FPUC being extended, and I tell you, Steve and Nancy agreed to $400, $600 a week, 4 weeks ago. But Nancy's holding out for $600 a week. Why? What's so important about $600 a week versus $400 a week? What's so important about $500 a week versus $400 a week? Just because you want to get it? There's an old saying, just because you want something doesn't mean you're entitled to it. And just because you like it doesn't mean you should get it. So why does Nancy Pelosi have to hold up your unemployment benefits, especially if you don't qualify for that LWA $100 threshold? And you're sitting around, I'm like, I'm not even LWA, Nancy. I don't get that $100 threshold. Why is she holding out because you're for $600 as opposed to a $400 offer, which Steve Mnuchin offered you, 3 weeks ago? It's really not clear. In all these press releases that Nancy Pelosi has issued, and she does about, one a day, that when the Temple of Doom opens, in the heart of darkness, and they let the bats fly out, and the vampires and the dragons come in for lunch, and then they go back out in the middle of the night. When the Temple of Doom issues these press releases, there's no economic numbers in them. There's no numbers in them. There's just, what's in there? Children going hungry. Paragraph 1, children going hungry. Paragraph 2, children going hungry. Paragraph 3, children going hungry. Signed, Nancy Pelosi, children going hungry. There's no economic data in here. And here we have, these quotes, these articles that I printed out from March, they're not from financial news publications. They're not from, the Financial Times of London. They're not from the Wall Street. They're not from CNBC. They're not from Barron's. They're from mainstream news media. And they're just ripe with a lot of financial numbers. Every single paragraph of this news article has numbers. A group of airlines sent a letter to congressional leaders Saturday saying they don't want to furlough workers until the end of August. Oh boy, yeah, this is that group that did furlough workers and then fire them. They want $29 billion in grants. Well, they got $25 billion in grants, and now they want to come back for more. The industry initially requested 29 in grants and loans. Unless worker payroll protections are passed immediately, many of us will be forced to take draconian measures such as furloughs. Well, they did with $25 billion. This is why people need to have recollection. This is why people need to look back at data. The airlines, who Trump is really angry at, and this is the reason why he should be angry at them. They got $25 billion during the first stimulus package round. They wanted $29 billion, and they said they needed that money, and with that money would not furlough workers. If you don't know what furlough means, it means, they're not laid off, but they're put basically on a hold. And under federal law, it's about a 6-month waiting time. After 6 months, you have to make a decision. They fired them last week. They're just firing. They did furlough them, and they did fire them. And guess what? They're asking more money now. Okay, so as you sit here today, is Nancy giving the airlines $25 billion more, or is Steve Mnuchin asking for $25 billion more? What's going on? It wasn't immediately clear whether the $1.4 trillion package cited by Kudlow Saturday, this is the March report, included a $45.8 billion supplemental spending proposal from the White House, which wanted $8.3 billion for defense, $11.5 billion for Department of Health and Human Services, and $3.4 billion for CDC. Okay, so this is what's important. Here's an article, and it just gave me 5 numbers of what is eating up $1 billion here, $1 billion here, $1 billion here. Pelosi doesn't do that. She said yesterday, yeah, she does sound a little schizo. She says, I'll agree to 2.4, 2.3, 2.2, 2.4, 2.3. It's like a ping pong machine. Up, down, 2.4, 2.2, 2.3, 2.2. But don't come to me to 2.1. But I won't go to 2.2. I will go to... Okay, you keep on moving $200 billion. Well, we just have a report here of how the first stimulus package, with all these, bailouts of $100 billion here and $50 billion here. Why are you moving? Where is the $50 billion or $100 billion being taken out of, and where is it being added to? As you sit here as a viewer, you're probably a little bit perplexed as I am. When we're sitting here wondering, okay, stimulus checks is one pot of money. And, the stimulus checks don't grow up and down by $1 billion. They just don't. Why? Because we expanded the household to 7 family members? Even that wouldn't do it. If we're going up and down $1 billion, how about you send out multiple checks? How about you increase the stimulus check amount? How about you bring it to $1,600 or $1,900? Um, the really great news, as I take it aside just for a second about stimulus checks as we go into September, is that everything is back on the table. Everything is back on the table. And I don't mean, the pumpkin spice Pelosi. Uh, you know, Harris's $2,000 check every month for 6 months until the pandemic ends, co-written by Bernie Sanders in the House, excuse me, in the Senate, not in the House of the Temple of Doom. Do you think it'll have light of day? Absolutely. Do you think Bernie Sanders may push it? Sure. How about all those other things? The Senator Warren plan out of Massachusetts for rent aid, an enormous amount of rent aid, more than Pelosi's plan. How about Marco Rubio and Mitt Romney, both senators? Uh, excuse me, Senator Romney. How much do you think they're going to throw into the mix? Well, they want to give you unemployment FPUC at what, $400 or $500 a week, more than any Republican has put on a paper, less than Nancy Pelosi. But do you think that Democrats in the Senate would not vote for $400 a week? I think they would. I think they would vote for it. What's interesting is that, when people are not in session, the collective discourse is basically based upon who can book Colbert for an evening interviews time slot. And Nancy Pelosi can. You can't. Marco Rubio is not really able to book late night talk shows. Mitt Romney is not really a draw. But Nancy Pelosi can apparently book it. And she'll talk and talk and talk. Well, once Senate and House members are back in session, you're going to see everything flying because a lot of people want a lot of bills passed, and then comes the egos. And egos are actually good for you. Egos are going to ask for stimulus in ways you and I have never seen stimulus ask for, a lot more money. Because they're going to say, hey, this is ridiculous. This is September. We need a lot of this. We need a lot of that. It needs to go out fast. And you have all these people that are going to come in and say, hey, these need to be done right now. They may also talk about stuff being done in phases. The first stimulus package talked about phases. One of these goals of these packages is to do everything we can to not have to do a stage 4. That's why I think we could try to see a really big bill, said GOP Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota. Well, they didn't do enough. Right now we're trying to cover the bases, said Senate Democrats and Republicans in a statement, and Larry Kudlow. What was really interesting at the time was that the White House Legislative Affairs Director, Labor Secretary, Treasury Secretary, Kudlow, the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, a nonpartisan agency that estimates cost analysis of every legislation, was all involved in your stimulus bill. These people were really looking at the numbers, which Nancy Pelosi is not looking at. I mean, she's really playing a horse and pony show with you. I'm hopeful that we'll understand more about the unemployment insurance piece today, including its cost, its potential scope, and some of these technical challenges that we've outlined, said Yulin at the time, talking about the benefit of having the Congressional Budget Office involved. Have we heard from the Congressional Budget Office lately? Has the Congressional Budget Office told us why Nancy Pelosi needs that extra 0.455666, or otherwise don't come back to me? No. Has the Congressional Budget Office said, can the American public survive and do perfectly fine to January of next year with 1.3, which the president offered? An incredible offer. How about 1.5? How about 1.7? Can we do... All we have is a very late in tenure, pig-headed congressional leader, Nancy Pelosi, who simply says, I want this number, that's it. Why? I mean, and then she just gives us superlatives and just vague references as to why the number's working and why it isn't. You know when we last rejected this type of talking? Yeah, original recipe. When Mitch McConnell did it to us in July, Mitch McConnell says, I don't have enough economic data. I'm not going to give you anything. We tossed that aside. We didn't want to deal with Republicans who said, I just don't think you need it, and hence you're not going to get it. Now we have the flip side of it, which is someone saying, you have to give it. I'm not going to tell you why we need it, but you need to give it. It doesn't work that way. When you're doing a bill which, by Pelosi standards, would be the largest in U.S. history, you need to know the numbers behind it. And without those numbers, what's going to happen? The great news as we start a Sunday morning is you're going to get a stimulus package. I mean, I could start the video, I could end the video, I can say it 5 times in the video, but you're going to get a stimulus package. And the Temple of Doom wants to tell you that, your coffee is going to be burnt, your toast is going to be blackened, your butter is going to go stale, and that, it's going to be a horrible day today. It's going to be a horrible day tomorrow, and just basically the whole month is going to be horrible. That's what she wants to tell you, and that she wants to put on her angel wings and behind her and say, hey, here I am with 2.4855 trillion, and everything will be fine if you sign on the dotted line. It's not the way that works. It really isn't. And as you start the morning, with or without pumpkin Pelosi latte, understand that you're getting a stimulus check, $1,200. You're getting a family stimulus check, family of 5, $6,000. You're getting an extension of unemployment benefits, whether it's $400 or $600 a week. It will not have that $100 threshold of LWA. 3, these things will be getting to you very fast. If you watched my last broadcast last night, that special report, which I brought back for a second night, and again, it was very well watched, so I'm going to stay with it. How fast would you get this money in your bank account? Because that's one of the big issues with this channel. How fast would you get it? I will repeat that. I will bring that program back again tonight with more detail. You're going to see this money land very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. But there's going to be a tight period in your life, which is now and early September, because they're just not in session. There's nothing going to happen. You have a 3-day weekend coming up. So things are just not going to happen over the next 7 days unless the heavens open up. So don't, and I saw someone drop in the comments, someone said something like, I hope there's a deal on Tuesday. There's not going to be a deal on Tuesday. Just Steve Mnuchin's coming back into town and talking to the House Appropriations Committee, or the House Coronavirus Committee, and is going to detail stimulus and going to give us incredible great news about how this is going to get done. He's not going to do a deal on Tuesday. Nancy Pelosi's not going to allow it to be done on Tuesday, but it's going to set up the deal to be done between these powers that be. Join me on Afternoons at LALATE. A couple personal notes real quickly. One, the upload time for yesterday's Afternoons LALATE videos was very delayed. So for some reason, the Afternoons LALATE videos came up a little bit later. Not my doing. But please tune in. I think I was losing to some of you in the later 2-hour programming block because it was heading into evenings LALATE. It was like, okay, he's calling it afternoons. And, even in the Temple of Doom, I don't see light. It's very dark now. So I understand if it's called Afternoons LALATE, and by the time the upload time is over, it's debuting the next morning. Still, please watch the show, because there was some really important stuff in there. And I'm saying especially for my unemployment benefits people, there's a lot of important stuff in my unemployment video. For my hazard pay video, which is the second one, please watch that. Remember, Afternoons LA starts with the check, then hazard pay, and then FPUC, and then rent. And I gotta tell you, I'm getting a ton of comments from people in social media and everywhere about unemployment benefits. Please watch that video, because I'm answering your questions in that video. So it's for you especially. And then hazard pay, I'm answering your questions as well. People are saying, do I qualify? How do I do this? Watch that video, because it's really there to inspire and inform you and give you a lot of great detail. Do me a couple favors. Like this video. By hitting the like button, it helps the algorithm. It's really helped a lot. Videos yesterday were getting like 11,000 likes, $12,000 likes. So it helps us go ahead of people to do this and do this and do this, and do voguing in clubs on a Sunday night somewhere. It helps us appear before them. Also subscribe. Boy, there's a lot of people tuning in, but let's get the subscribers up. Please subscribe to this channel. Tell your friends to subscribe. Yesterday only had like 1,000 subscribers. So I was like, I gotta get some love in here. Come on, I don't feel the love. We're about to pass 225 today, so that's incredibly great news. The call to action last Saturday was let's try to get to 225 in 2 weeks. We got to it in 1 week. So thank you so much. Let's now try to get to 250,000. Let's add another 25,000 in the next 2 weeks. So 2 weeks from this Sunday, from today, let's try to add 25,000 subscribers in 2 weeks. I think we can do it. Tell your friends about this channel. I love your comments. And drop your comments. I try to respond to as many as I can as soon as the video goes live. After it's live, I'm on to the next one. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, stay focused, and stay valid for more.